Hey y'all, I'm Farrell Dalrymple, and this is the next group of drawings in the daily drawing time-lapse compilation. So 145 through 160. And this first up is someone asked me to draw a D&D character. I think specifically their D&D character. They sent me just the generic art they have in Dungeons and Dragons of this. It's a bugbear, which I'd never heard of before, even though I've played a bunch of Dungeons and Dragons over the years. I hadn't really heard of one of these guys. It seemed pretty cool, the concept, and I'm fairly happy with how it came out, I guess. It was I guess this sort of thing is more up my alley than just about anything else, other than drawing my own characters, or starting to do these tarot cards too, which is a little more interesting to me. But this was fun. I inked it with a brush, or with a pen rather. Sorry, I'm coloring it with a brush, but I used a Faber-Castell Pitt pen to ink it, and did watercolors. I think it's mostly watercolor and ink on that one. This next one is someone's pet, Sam the cat. I don't know if he passed or not, but yeah, I didn't do a time lapse of this because I was looking at photo reference to the face. The body, I'm not crazy about. I just kind of had to mash it up because the photo was just sent me like his face, and he's like, "Oh, I want this face," but I couldn't really find the right pose. It was kind of hard for me to squeeze in there. But this next one is a koala artist in like a science fiction kind of vibe to it. And it was another request on my Patreon. All these I've been doing lately are all requests from Patreon subscribers. So yeah, so I did ink this one again with a Faber-Castell Pitt pen. Size S or XS is the size that I use. And it looks like I did this at my friend's studio. You can just for a second see his little doggy in the corner on that dirty floor. And yeah, I actually brought my little clamp arm thing with my camera. I brought it with me to the studio so I could do this remotely. Sorry about the shaky camera. It was just like sitting on my lap. And there's just like a sort of a video of it, a progress shot. Back to the bouncy recording, the time lapse. But yeah, I don't know how long this one took me, but maybe like after I got the drawing down. The drawing is always the hardest part, the pencil drawing. The inks and colors usually don't take that long. It sort of depends if I'm struggling with it or not. This one was I wasn't too crazy about the way that looked, so I went back in, and that was a scan, and I was like, so I went back in with some gouache and recolored the background, rescanned it. And I probably was stressing out over nothing. I probably should have been satisfied with the first one, but I'm compulsive sometimes. This next one is not a D&D guy, but pretty much Lord of the Rings type deal. Someone just asked me to draw a goblin. So there's going to be a couple goblins on this round of video, but the other one is just not a traditional goblin. This is kind of more of I guess my idea of like a traditional goblin. I looked on the internet, Wikipedia and stuff, what a goblin entails, just to kind of get the vibe of it. And yeah, I went for this sort of more of a Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings type approach to it. And it's fun. I enjoyed drawing this one a lot. It's one of my, I guess, favorite ones of recent times. And this one it's always a blast to draw this guy, Bance. I think this is the second time I've drawn him for the daily drawings, and he's not the main character in the Wrenchies, but the sort of one of my favorite guys in the Wrenchies. And Sherwood, who is the main character, it's one of his favorite guys too, because he created the young Wrenchies, and his name is Bance, like I said, but he's the like best fighter of all the Wrenchies, or pretty much in the world, is the way I thought of him, as like he's the greatest warrior. He's just like this little kid with nunchucks and a sword. This next one is from a book called The Hearing Trumpet, and I'm forgetting the name of the writer at this moment, but I'll put it in the notes on the YouTube description, so you can look and, if you click on the description, you can see all the stuff. So I'll write in there the information if you're curious about reading this book. I am. I've had, after I did it, a bunch of people recommended that I should read it. Leonora Carrington is her name, and I found out she's an amazing painter as well as a writer. This one, someone asked me to draw a raccoon in a toxic waste dump, which seemed kind of in my wheelhouse, I guess, as some people say. The toxic waste dump part and drawing an animal. But yeah, I just kind of had this like sort of Wrenchies-ish background. And I inked it with one of these Faber-Castell Pitt pens, which I'm fond of doing. And I think I used a couple pictures for the raccoon for the drawing. And yeah, just watercolored it, maybe a little bit of gouache too. And I gotta start doing these a little faster after I'm already like over a third of the way done with these through the year. I guess we have like, it's not quite half a year. I think like around 180 or something will be the halfway point. But yeah, I colored him pretty as detailed as I could get, and I left the background a little more spare. I wish I had just left it like that. I didn't color any of the background, but ended up adding a little bit of color to it, as you'll see. And yeah, that at that point, that I feel like that's done. But then I went in and started kind of noodling at the background a little bit. You can see that I had to do 2 this day because I got behind. I'm still behind. I think I'm like 1 day behind, so I'm gonna try to do 2 today. But you can see the moon monsters on the right there with a little sticker covering up the earth. But yeah, I just kind of try to keep it a little limited. The color's a little limited. I think I just ended up doing a little river and maybe 1 or 2 of the barrels and left the rest blank. And this is the picture that I took of it. And I think, yeah, this one's the scan, which is like a lot lighter. A lot of the blacks dropped out. And then, yeah, I'm inking the moon monster that was requested. I think it was the request of something like some kind of moon monster. So I actually looked up, see if there was. I mean, there's different versions. It seemed like there was like some more popular versions, but it wasn't quite in the classic monsters vein. Didn't seem to be like an atypical or a typical type of moon monster. So I think I just used a couple different ones that I found that I liked, and made him blue. I think one of the ones I saw was green, and he had 2 eyes, so I just gave him a cyclops and had some kind of weird energy ray thing coming out of his mouth. And here you can see before I pull the sticker off, I went ahead and used a brush to ink the background, or I don't know. I'm sure if I used watercolor or ink on the black to get the black in the background. I think it was ink. It was a little watered down maybe. And then went in there and tried to punch it up a little bit. And then you can see there, after I've peeled the sticker off, I guess I don't have like a process shot of me actually painting that earth, but it was just basically peeled the sticker off and it was just the white of the paper. And it didn't take me that long to do the earth. I just looked at like a picture, and that's probably why I don't have a film video of it, is because I was using my phone to look at a picture of it. Just kind of, did a quick generic little earth representation, and there's the finish. And I was pretty stoked about the way that one came out. That one and this one here, it's Emily from Pop Gun War, Sinclair's sister, who sings and plays the guitar. And this is specifically from Pop Gun War Chain Letter, which she's the star of. Her band breaks down in like a small town, and she has to figure out a way to pay for the repairs. So I think she was wanting to like do some busking and ends up falling into a hole with a bunch of weird dudes and stuff, and sees these like stories on video monitors that she finds down there. Kind of like an Alice in Wonderland sort of thing is the way I was looking at that when I wrote it. But here she's playing the guitar that she found down there in front of these like bad guys to kind of like save her life. She has to sing to save her life, and ends up getting like enough money to get out of the town and stuff. And I've done this drawing a few times, so but it's always fun. And this next one, someone requested I draw a big bad wolf, which I guess is like the classic villain in a lot of the Aesop's fables and fairy tales, and Disney used it a lot, and for like Three Little Pigs and Little Red Riding Hood and a bunch of different fairy tales that they appropriated, just that were public domain. And so this is kind of like a sort of a Disney version. I added my own little things to it. It's not super on model because I don't want to get like cease and desisted, and it's also like more fun just to kind of have my own take on it anyway. But I figure like it's such like an iconic classic character that I kind of use like the white gloves and the top hat and everything. This next one is Ham, the space chimp. He's, I think, one of the first, or maybe the first chimpanzee that went into space, or at least like the NASA sent into space. And he got a return shuttle, so he was luckier than a lot of the other little critters that got sent into space. Sadly, a lot of them just didn't have a way back, so they had to euthanize them or just let them die up there, I guess. I don't know. It's sad. But this guy, I think he got like a nice retirement. They got sent to a zoo and then a wildlife preserve, from what I understand. But it's the second time I've drawn Ham. Years back, my buddy Roger wanted a tattoo of Ham. I think you read a little bit about him. This one I had someone requested that I draw Captain Ahab, which was seemed easy and fun for me because I have done this drawing. And that's an older drawing, Captain Ahab, I did last year for From Hell's Heart, a book that John Arcudi put together. I actually did an illustration of Taipei in the book, like a color illustration. And then I just thought like, I'm going to be signing copies of this because we had a couple book signings here in Portland. And A Wave Blue World is the publisher of that book too, if you want to check it out. I'll put it in the description if you want to purchase one or know where to purchase one. But I just did this drawing, that older drawing of Captain Ahab, because I thought like, I want to draw something in the books for people. And that was like way more detailed, but I was just using it as like a springboard, like a model of like, okay, I did a detailed drawing once, and then I could do like a 10 minute, like 5-10 minute drawing of Ahab, like a quick one. And some of them came out okay, but I really like that original drawing. I think I ended up giving it to John Arcudi. I'm not sure. So this one, actually, I messed up and did it as a rectangle instead of a square. I think just the piece of paper I grabbed, I wasn't paying attention and accidentally just grabbed I have all these squares pre-cut, and that one, just happened to be cut wrong. Oh, well. So this one is Jane Goodall, who I love. And I love the photograph of her that I based this off of. I don't know who to credit it to. I'll see if I can find it and put it in the description, but I couldn't when I posted it on Instagram. But I wasn't crazy about working on this, but I mean, as much as I love Jane Goodall in the photograph, it was just really frustrating trying to get the detail in that small of a piece and get everything to look right. But I just had to let it go after working on it all day. But it's hopefully that'll be the second to last portrait that I do. But what are you gonna do? This one here was a lot more fun for me to do. Robot Todd, he's one of my favorite characters. Pretty easy to draw. I'm actually planning on doing a series with him that I wanted to have done this year, but I've only got like 4 pages on it because I've been working on other stuff with some writers. But once I'm done, wrap those up, I'm definitely going to get into this. I'm super excited about it. I have it all written out. or at least plot it out. You know, all the pacing and everything's done. I just need to get some dialogue. I'm trying to get Rick or Rick Remender or someone, if he doesn't want to do it, to help me out with the dialogue part, and maybe help me out with some story elements too. But this is the finished. Patreon subscriber and a friend asked me to draw him, whole kind of working on his own head. And this one is Goblin. Is a character, the second Goblin that I've drawn, but this is just more of a, I think that's just his name and kind of a race and these creatures in this Jerome Opeña and Rick Remender comic book that's amazing. You should check it out. I think they're almost done with it. He's like a master of disguise and thief, and I think like the last of his race. And the comic's really cool. It's dark and it's sort of like a fantasy western kind of quest comic. It's really good. I enjoy it. And this is the last one in this group. It's the second tarot card I've done, and something I'd like to sort of transition into just doing for the rest of the year. I think there's like 70 something cards total, so I have a little bit of wiggle room. But I would like to get a whole deck done before the end of the year is done, and do them as daily drawings. So if you want to like join my Patreon, or if you're part of my Patreon, just if you request a tarot card, it's $20 plus shipping. Yeah, I enjoy doing them, and there's a Raphael 8404 brush, in case you're wondering. I'll put it in the description of YouTube. And I did it, inked it all, like I said, with that brush, and then did some ink washes just to get some tones down, and then did some light watercoloring on top of that with the background and little details. I think I watercolored her face and some of the browns and stuff, watercolor, obviously. But all right, so that's it for this time. Thanks a lot for watching this. Instagram's Feral Doll, and I think my Patreon is too. And yeah, see you soon.